Tonight is very special. We're finishing our influencer series. I've got some amazing guest speakers. We have an Olympian, international bodybuilder. She is training to be the #1 bodybuilder Olympian in the world. Can you put your hands together for Breena and Gilbert, everybody? Give them a big round of applause.
Everybody, how you guys doing?
So this is Breena and Gilbert, everybody. Hey. Breena, how would you describe your brand to everybody out here today listening at Youth Tribe?
So our brand, Detail Conscious, is, if I had to sum it up in one word, it would be rebuild. What we like to do is build a relationship with every single person that wants to look for self-improvement with their fitness, their health. It's about building a connection so that way we can work together on your fitness journey.
Awesome. So you are if you had to describe your profession in one word, one sentence, what would you say it is?
A professional.
Professional. She's a professional. She's a true professional influencer, and you're gonna get to see her tag, and they're gonna tell you all about it in a talk in a sentence tonight in a minute after I get off stage. So, serious question, who benches more?
I'll have to take that one.
But, who squats more?
Ooh.
I don't want to answer that question.
Ooh.
I don't want to answer that one, no. I haven't done a 1-rep max in a minute, but hey, if you guys want to lift or get into fitness, definitely reach out to us because it's something that we're very passionate about.
Word on the street is that the Grove is supposed to be getting a GYM over here. So if you guys really want to test out your strength, come keep us
2022, they're helping put in a gym.
Yeah,
here at the
a lot
Grove.
of exciting stuff. So that's a little secret, but hey, you guys are the first to hear about it, all right?
So I think it's no secret, they eat very, very healthy. I even asked if they wanted Chick-fil-A and they politely said, They just smiled at me. I think that was their way of saying no. Gilbert, question for you. Do you ever catch Breena eating McDonald's or fast food or a French fry? Or when was the last time you did?
So for McDonald's, that's something that we haven't had in quite some time. But as far as fast food, we do get down on some fast food. In-N-Out, animal style, fries.
Anybody else like In-N-Out?
Yeah.
Hey, I knew I could get you In-N-Out. Come on, why not?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so we definitely get into some of the fast food, but it's something we try to stay away from, and we try to stay healthy most of the time so that when we do splurge, we go hard.
It's all about moderation. Too much of anything is never a good thing. Am I right? You can't eat In-N-Out every single day.
No. They're like,
maybe not.
I don't know.
Okay, and Breena is training to be, I don't want to say it incorrectly, Miss Olympia.
Yes.
In September.
It actually got moved. It's normally in September, but with the restrictions, it got moved to October. And it'll be in Orlando. But this will actually be, God willing, I've got a couple of shows to do to qualify. But if I qualify this year, this will be my 7th consecutive time reaching the Olympia, which is the equivalent of the Super Bowl of the sport. And I still can't believe I'm saying that out loud.
I've never met someone who's been to the Olympia tournament. So this is quite amazing to be in her presence. So if we can give them our fullest attention, Youth Tribe, and the stage is yours. So I'm gonna go this way. Here's 2, you have 2 microphones. Okay.
We're good. Okay, awesome. Well, we can ditch the couch because we like to be on your guys' level when we talk.
Well, we wanted to start off with sharing a little bit about ourselves. And so we had a couple pictures to share with you guys.
Back when we were babies.
Yep. And the first picture over here, it's just us when we actually first met. So that was back in 2009. I had thrown a pool party, but we'll definitely get into the way that things actually happen. It's kind of different because I actually don't think I should be married to her.
And I don't think that I should be here right now in front of you guys sharing my story.
Yep. We don't have kids, but
we have a cat.
Yep.
Cats count. Any fur baby lovers in the house? Cats? I know Palmer says he hates cats.
I know dogs are really prevalent, but hey, cats.
Okay, fair enough. Cats need love too, okay? There she is. That's Kika face. That's my little Kika, a little gray tabby.
And I'm not actually used to being on stage. So just a little background. I'm on the production team here at the Grove. I've worked with some of you guys here, Philip, Mike, Olympia. Shout out to RJ. But one of the things that we want to do that's a little different, we actually want to turn the lights on so we can see you guys. So if someone could hit the lights.
There's all the lovely faces.
This is better for us.
What I'm
all right,
about.
Cool. So I wanted her to hop off stage too, simply because she's always on stage. And
break. I'm gonna sit down.
I really think that just being able to connect with you guys, see your faces, that's really important for us. Yeah, that's different. And so one of the things that we wanted to talk about is Instagram. Brene has a fairly decent following. There's about 50,000 followers on her account. But the person that you guys see on Instagram is not the person that she is today. 12 years ago. So a lot has changed. And so we wanted to just go into how we met.
Okay, so I don't know if you guys can relate to this, but I was at a time where I was just like, not interested in dating. I wasn't interested in looking for Mr. Right. I was very focused on trying to find what I wanted to do with my life. I had finished up with college. I had been an athlete my whole life. And I had this crazy idea that once I graduated college, I was gonna have this amazing job and make what we used to call back in our day, bank. I don't know if you guys still use that term. I'm showing my age right now. You guys know what bank is, right? We're talking about that cash, right? I wanted to make some money. And so I thought that's what I was gonna do. But no one tells you that once you get your degree, your dream job isn't just waiting for you once you get your college degree. There's a little bit more to it. So I went into, even though I got my degree in psychology and my minor in sociology, I worked in retail because that was the easiest way to get some of that cash money that we're all trying to get, right? So we can continue to pursue our dreams. So when I was approached about going to this party, again, I was about making my money, right? Mind on my money and my money on my mind. Did you guys get that? No, maybe? Okay, there we go, okay. I'm showing my age again. But I worked for H&M, not sure if you guys are familiar with it, but I loved retail. I loved dressing the mannequins and making the windows. I pretended I was Bob the Builder and making floorboards and all this cool stuff. I went from being a visual merchandiser to a store manager. And yes, I was making money. And yes, I kept getting promoted each year, but I wasn't happy. I wasn't really doing what gave me joy. I was just doing what I thought I was good at, but I didn't really have a passion for it. So that's kind of where I was at in my life. I was not thinking about stumbling into the love of my life.
And just to give you a background on where I was in 2009. So I lived in a house in college for 4 years. And in college, you typically throw parties, but I despise cleaning. I do not like cleaning up. And so what I did was I'm gonna have 0 parties so I never have to clean up ever. But I ended up having a roommate that had a birthday in the same month as me, which was August. And he's like, hey, how about this? We both throw a party, we both clean up. Is that something you'd be down for? And I was like, okay, that works for me. And so I shouldn't have even thrown that party. And she happened to go to that party that day. And so something that's also a little bit different is, well, I had expectations on what I thought an ideal partner would be for me. And I had only dated females that were Caucasian or Asian, and they had to be shorter than me with heels on. Those were my deal breakers. Like if it was anything outside of that, then it was a no-go for me. So I had that mindset going into everything. But once I met her, everything started to change. It was a pool party, so we were in flat shoes, and she was obviously taller than me. So that was like a deal breaker, and I was like, okay, well, if I can't like actually talk to her, then I'm gonna get one of my friends because she seems like a cool girl. She knew about sports, she knew about football. That's what kind of like stood out to me. We were talking football, and she said her favorite team was the Green Bay Packers. If you guys,
I got game. If you guys can't tell, I got game.
Yes, she does have game. Oh, Aaron Rodgers, that's an issue. That's an issue.
I don't know what happened to him.
Yeah. So we found out that she liked football, and then she also walked on to San Jose State's women's basketball team. So what that means is, Byron's got it.
Thank you.
So when you walk on, that means you basically didn't have anybody that was noticing you. You showed up to practice or to tryouts, and then you just started grinding.
For a year, just kept showing up. Didn't necessarily have all the talent, but I loved playing basketball. So I kept showing up. And after a year of grinding and commuting and taking 16 plus units, the coach and the team recognized that I was someone who kept showing up. I was someone who made the rest of the team better. Someone that always gave my best effort every single day. And so they awarded me a full ride scholarship my senior year.
And so, yes, definitely. Yep, shout out. That's awesome.
So hard work pays off, guys. You don't have to be the tallest or the fastest. You just got to work the hardest. Outwork. Be the hardest worker in the room.
And so this is where the night really changed for me. If you could grab that.
I have a visual so you guys can like get the full effect.
Yep. All right. So hopefully you guys could see this. But I was having a conversation like this way with someone, and I don't even know what we were talking about. But there was a chair here in the kitchen, and I had my hand right here. And she was having a separate conversation.
Wait for it.
Yep. With somebody else. And what happened was our hands touched. So
mysteriously.
When you normally, like if your hands touch like that, it's like, oh, hey, my bad. I didn't mean to do that. I apologize. That's not that's normally like what I would have done. But for some reason, when our hands touched, I was like, oh, dang, she's not moving her hand.
And I was like, that's his hand. I'm not moving.
And so then I was like, oh, I think this girl might like me.
Which he finally got after, it felt like forever of dropping hints. You know, you have kind of like a crush. I see him being so polite and he's confident. He's well put together. And then I see a girl walk in with a bunch of groceries and he runs up to her and grabs it. And so I was like, oh, he's cute, but he might have a girlfriend. But I'm still gonna keep, watching and observing and seeing if I had a chance. So the fact that his hand touched mine,
yep.
Game on.
I was like, okay, now I get it. So earlier I mentioned she walked on to San Jose State's basketball team, right? So there's these things called throwback jerseys. I don't know if you guys are aware of what they are.
See if you had head nods, yep.
Okay, cool. So I actually had some throwback jerseys in my room.
Some really cool ones.
And so, yeah, they're from like the 90s, Golden State Warriors, Orlando Magic, and I had a third one. But I was like, I have these throwback jerseys in my room. Do you want to check them out?
What do you guys think I said? Of course.
So we go back to the room, and when we get there, I take out all the jerseys, and then I actually get a call from my cousins. They had driven home from the party, and I just wanted to make sure that they were home safely, and they were. Everything was good. So
that was also something that kind of stood out to me.
Yeah.
I wasn't looking for obviously Mr. Right, but as I was observing Gilbert, I saw how much he was family oriented. Of course I was eavesdropping. I'm trying to get to know this dude. And I hear him talk to his cousins and making sure that they're getting home safe. And he's being big brother in that moment, And so I saw how polite and how confident he was. And so I was smitten, I was so used to, in college, like, hey, Ma, what's up? How you doing? Let's go hang out. And I'm like, that's such a turnoff. Like, how about you just talk in a normal voice and say hello and be polite? That's all I'm looking for. And that's kind of what he did. And that's what made me want to know who he was. He was simply being himself.
Mm-hmm. And after I showed her the jerseys, I was like, these are pretty cool, right? She's like, yeah. I was like, all right, let's go. That was it.
He earned major brownie points for that.
Walked out.
part of me was like, is he gonna make a move? Is he gonna ask me out? Is he gonna ask for my number? Like, what's gonna happen? I'm in his room. I'm gonna be strong. And then he said that. I was like, he just got extra brownie points. He doesn't know it yet. That's my future boo right there.
And so from that point moving forward, I walked her out to her car at the end of the night and asked her when I was gonna see her again. It happened to be a Saturday that we threw the party, but she was like, how about Monday?
Okay, now before you guys judge me,
Yeah.
I'm not a stage 5 clinger, but I was at a point where I was like, I really like this guy and I wanna get to know him. So instead of playing the usual games of, oh, I don't know, let me check my schedule, oh, I'll text you. No, don't call me, I'll call you. I figured, why not just say, hey, I'm available on Monday. Let's get a bite to eat and let's talk. There was no hesitation, there was no fear. I just wanted to get to know who this guy was that had my attention.
Yep. So we went to the Cheesecake Factory.
Cheesecake Factory, am I right?
It's a good first date. It worked out well.
He did well.
Yeah, Cheesecake worked. And
we shut it down.
Like, we ended up talking the entire time, and we were the last ones there. So I felt like, okay, there might be something here.
And that's honestly what I feel brought us together, was that power of connection. I mean, think about it. You just met someone, you don't really know much about them. You go to a dinner and you're there. Our dinner was probably like at 6:30 because that's when I got off of work. And Cheesecake Factory closes at like 11, midnight. And they're sweeping and mopping around us. And they're like, no, it's totally fine. And we were talking. Like, it wasn't just me going blip, 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 talking the whole time. Like, it was an interactive conversation. Yep. And it was wonderful.
Yep.
You could let your hair down. Clearly, I was smitten.
Yep, and then, so that brings us to our faith story. That was the foundation for us in our relationship and how we met. And there were things that were happening that shouldn't have happened, but because they did, it brought us together, which brings us to our faith story.
Right, we weren't supposed to meet. He becomes my best friend, then my boyfriend, and then my husband. And it all started with just having a connection, someone that I could trust and talk to, relate to. That's how it began. So then comes where our faith story is. Do you want to take over on this part?
So we have a scripture up here for
yes.
Jeremiah.
This scripture is awesome too, because it really does encompass everything about our faith story and the 3 years of flaking, which is what we're titling it, that Gilbert's gonna get into. But I'm sure you guys are familiar with Jeremiah 29 verse 11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. And the reason why that verse is so important is because when we were going through some hard times in our life, that was a verse that really gave us hope. It was a promise. It was just like a hug. You know, that blanket that you get out of the dryer when it's cold and you're just like, it feels so good, it smells so good. That's what that verse, it was for us.
And at the time, so this was fast forward to 2019, Brene had already gone to a few Olympias. We traveled the world to Korea, to Japan. And so everything was going extremely well. No complaints at all. And then all of a sudden, 2019 hit. And that was really rough for me because I lost my dream job, or what I thought was my dream job. I was working with a company that was on Shark Tank. Are you guys familiar with Shark Tank? Yep. So they got a deal on Shark Tank and wanted me to help them with their sales and marketing. So that's something that I was working on, but I got let go from that dream job. And then my health also started to fade. That part was really tricky for me because I lost my job. I didn't have insurance. When you don't have insurance, it becomes really expensive to go to the doctor. So we didn't go to the doctor at all. But in that time, we did meet somebody that really changed our lives.
And I don't know about you guys, but if you've ever had someone that you love in your life that's having a really hard time and there isn't anything that you can physically do to help, it's the worst, right? Like you're just sitting there and it feels like you have handcuffs on. And one of the things that was hard for me was like, do I keep competing knowing that, my husband is having a hard time? Like part of me felt selfish, continuing to push for my dreams. And one of the things I knew was I needed more support. And so I really was blessed with this incredible guy. His name is Jojo. And he was somebody that he's a tissue worker. So that means he gives like deep tissue massages and things of that nature. So during that time when things were hard and money was tight, he offered me a sponsorship where he would take care of any injuries, anything that was happening, he could put me back together again. But what I didn't realize was he wasn't only gonna help put my body back together again, he was actually going to be the catalyst for our faith story and put me back together, us back together spiritually.
Yep.
You see, what happened was, Jojo, every time I saw him every single week for at least an hour. And every time I met, he would always, in a nice way, just be like, hey, what are you guys doing this Sunday? You should come with us to church. And it never failed. And he wasn't like annoying about it, just always. It was just like casually in the moment, organically. And it was just something that, we always had an excuse. Oh, I'm too tired. Oh, the football game is on. Oh, I'm so busy. Oh, I've got to travel. There was always an excuse.
And we knew we wanted to go with him, but we just weren't motivated.
We didn't know the value of it.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't understand the value of church. I mean, I was raised with the word as a kid, but I didn't really own it until I was an adult. As a kid, I was doing it because it's kind of what my dad wanted us to do. We would have Bible studies as a family every Friday. We had our questions that we had to answer. I mean, my dad was one of those that gave me state reports during the summer to make sure that we were on top of stuff. So I was really doing it to please my dad. I wasn't doing it because I wanted or even knew about having a relationship with Christ. That's not even where my head was.
And so one of the things that happened with the relationship with Jojo and ourselves is that he became a really good friend to us. I wanted to protect my wife because he was a deep tissue massage worker. And there's a lot of contact that happens. And so I went to all of her sessions with him. And in my effort to try and protect her and make sure that the guy was cool, I started to learn more about him. And Jojo was someone that went to juvie, came out of juvie, and then started to focus more on his craft, which is that body worker. And so, are you guys familiar with UFC a little bit? Yeah? Okay, so
he's like,
awesome,
yeah.
this guy. He's worked with UFC athletes, and so Nick and Nate Diaz, I don't know, they're a little bit older. Yep. And so he works with high school athletes and transitions them to college athletes. He works with college athletes to transition them to the pros. He gets people ready for the combine. So he's somebody that has a resume that was really impressive. But what really got to me was the fact that not only was he doing that, but he was also a man of Christ. He was someone that would go to San Quentin and he would minister to the people that were in San Quentin. San Quentin is one of the most hardcore prisons out there. And so to know that he was making these efforts and still being successful in the way that he was running his business and his profession, it made us curious, but never curious enough to actually go with him to church until we had to in 2019.
So we were getting ready to leave California. We were leaving on that Wednesday. And so I think it was Saturday where I was like, babe, this is the last Sunday that we're gonna be in California. Like, Jojo's been asking us to go to church for 3 years. Like, we should really make sure that we do this because we might not get this opportunity to do it. So we did. And as I think about it now, the church that we went to, it was in Livermore, California. But what's more important is the name of the church. It was called The Well. And when I think about it now, I didn't realize how thirsty our souls were until we walked into that church. Now, guys, I'm sure you guys are familiar with the Holy Spirit. But when I say I didn't even know what that was, I just had these incredible emotions when I walked in. There wasn't even a sermon playing yet. They were still getting started. And our friend Jojo wasn't even at the church yet. But the second that I walked into those doors, I just felt overwhelmed with emotion. And I could feel myself breathing a little bit heavier. And I was just like, what is happening right now? Why do I feel so emotional? Why am I on the verge of crying? And then all of a sudden, my tears just start flowing. And they just start dropping. And of course, I always want to look like I'm, strong in front of my husband, right? He's my rock. I got to be strong for him. But I let the ugly cry out. and I just started bawling.
Yeah, and that experience was really different for myself. So I grew up Catholic, and I figured I knew the highlights of the Bible. There was David and Goliath, the small dude crushing a big dude. Like, I love that. I'm 5'5", that's great. I knew about Noah, and I knew about Jesus, and I was like, okay, I know the highlights, and that for me was good enough. I prayed to God on a regular basis, and life was good for the most part. I didn't have any complaints, so I didn't see any reason to change the way that I was thinking or approaching life. And then that's when my health really started to deteriorate. I do have a slide of what I was going through. So my skin just freaked out, and it just never really recovered. I didn't know what was happening, but when I would go into the shower, I would just rub on my skin, and all of my skin would just fall off. That's how it was on a regular basis.
Just for the record, that's not just a dirty shower. That's literally, once the water would come, that is all of his skin that would just come off. I mean, it was something that I would see on his pillow, I would see in his sheets. And you have to think about how uncomfortable that would be, right? When you're flaking, when you're blistering, when you can't even turn to drive appropriately because your skin is so tight. Imagine how uncomfortable that would be. Imagine how uncomfortable it would be to just look at someone in the eyes and have a conversation. I saw my husband, who was a very personable guy, shut down and kind of shut himself away from everybody because he was so embarrassed.
Yeah.
It sucked. It really sucked.
My confidence was gone. I'd always been an athlete. I was on the collegiate national team for Taekwondo. It's a martial arts where you kick a lot. So I represented San Jose State in the United States back in 2004, which is way before some of you guys. So yeah, it's something that I grew up with, and so I've always had that like fighter mentality. Like, I'm strong, and I won't let anything shake me. And my parents got divorced. I'm the eldest, and so when they got divorced, I had to take a different type of role, which it always had to be strong. But when we went to the well, I felt genuine emotion just inside me, and I was like, what the heck is going on? Like, this doesn't make sense. Why am I feeling this? Mm-hmm. Like, I know I'm stronger than this, but there was something that was more powerful, more moving in that moment.
So when they had asked us if anybody wanted to come up and have the pastors pray over us, I didn't know if Gilbert was down, but I knew that was what I needed in that moment. I knew that I felt like I was that prodigal daughter, and I wanted to come back. So I looked at him and I said, hey, I'm gonna head up there. You don't have to if you don't want to. But in that moment, he grabbed my hand and he went with me anyways to the front of that church, and they prayed over us. And at that moment, we experienced, that was our God moment. Mm-hmm. So from there, when we moved out here, we knew that we wanted to find that same feeling when it came to figuring out our home. And we found that here at the Grove. The very first day that we were here and we walked into the worship house, those same feelings took over, and I knew we were home. Yeah,
that was something that I was not aware of that was gonna happen. I just was hoping and praying that feeling would just hit us. And we saw Josh, we saw the round in the big worship house, and we're just like, oh wow, this is it. And since then, we've just been pouring into the Grove. And so we're definitely blessed and grateful for the Grove and for the opportunity to be up here. But we did want to jump into being an influencer. We're gonna have to move a little bit quicker.
Yes, we are. So just to kind of wrap up a little bit with that, like, what does this have to do with being an influencer? I never said, I wanna be an influencer, and then started doing it. It was something that just kind of happened as I started realizing that I wanted to be unapologetically me. Looking at my sport and seeing how everybody was, it's never been in my nature to be a follower. I always just wanted to kind of beat to the rhythm of my own drum. And so when it comes to social media, when it comes to being an influencer, there's no jaw-dropping secret other than being you.
I agree. And what we would do when I was with the company that was on Shark Tank, we would actually have a third-party program that looks specifically for influencers. Now, when you guys think about being an influencer, do you believe that you have to have a ton of followers, or is followers not really that important? Show of hands real quick. Do you need a ton of followers on social media to be an influencer? Yes? Raise your hand.
Okay.
No? Okay. So I believe you don't have to have a ton of followers. What's important to companies is engagement. And engagement is more so the likes and the comments. Just to get into some of the metrics of what social media could look like. So I have a quick activity here. So we have a picture on the left of Brena. She got it professionally done. We were out in the desert. She had her makeup and hair done. Professional shoot. And then on the right, we have a picture of her taking a selfie. On her shirt, it actually says Jeremiah 29:11. And so I'm just curious, which image has more engagement? More likes, comments, saves? If you think it's A, raise your hand. Good. All right, put your hand down. If you think it's B, raise your hand. Interesting. All right, go ahead and put your hands down.
Kind of split.
Okay, so we wanted to share the metrics of the image. So on the right, you'll see that there's 647 likes. 647 likes, 60 comments, and 9 saves. And then the next image has 1,281 likes, and then is at 184, and 14 saves. So it's not always about having a nice picture. It's not always about having a cool video. The substance of your content, and the more your content is genuinely yourself, the better it'll resonate with your audience.
That's actually what that picture was. I was wearing the shirt, Jeremiah 29:11, Forever 21, shout out for those of you guys that like to shop there. And I was just being honest because we're still new in our walk with God, and I'm learning as I grow every day. And part of being an influencer is sharing that. I'm consistently sharing my journey, not up here as an expert or a guru or a know-it-all or, someone who's supposed to be top tier. It's not about that. It's just about being passionate about what I do and being willing to share. I was passionate about Jeremiah 29:11 and what it meant to me. And I wanted to ask people, hey, what is a verse that matters to you? And that's where all those comments came from. It was people who genuinely wanted to share and felt like they were heard. And here's the kicker. If you want to get your engagement up, here's a little secret. Engage with people. If you want engagement, you got to give engagement. So yes, there is, 164 comments on there, and I have responded to every single person. It's like when, you get a gift, you say thank you, right? And that's kind of what responding is. It's engaging with people. People know, I think the main reason why my account grows is because people know that when they respond, when they send me a DM, I'm typically gonna respond. And a lot of people that are supposed to be in, top athletes, like, come on, if I DM Michael Jordan right now, he's probably not gonna DM me, right? So I take pride in being able to engage with every single one of the followers. When I get to go to meet and greets at competitions, when I'm, in Japan or when I've been in Australia, the fact that I can meet people and they're like, something that you posted really touched me. The way that you're consistent, the way that you constantly show up. These are traits that are just part of who I am. So people are following me, not because of the amazing job the makeup artist did in that one, shoot. It's because I am just being real, unapologetically me. And the whole reason why we're here today is because we want you guys to know that you don't have to have a social media platform to be an influencer. The things that you say or don't say, the things that you do or don't do will influence the people around you. So it's more about doing your best every single day to the best of your ability and making sure that whatever you're passionate about, recognize that passion was put there for a reason. If there's something that you love doing that when you wake up every day, I can't wait to do this, and when you go to bed, I'm going to sleep because I can't wait to wake up in the morning and do it again, that is a passion, and that is something that God gave you. And I truly believe that that is what it takes to become an influencer. It's about knowing your passions, chasing it, and being able to share the good, the bad, and the ugly. Because guess what? You're relatable when you share the good, the bad, and the ugly. I don't want to always see the highlights, right? The Bible is even more beneficial when you read all of it, not just the stories about Noah and David, right? We don't want the highlights, we want it all. And so we wanted to share our story in hopes that it inspires you guys to realize you don't have to be top, tier, cream of the crop to influence the people around you.